Texas is more about an attitude than it is a place, I think. You know, when you hit Texas, you really do enter into a different world. And I could have spent a month or 2 months, maybe infinity, down there trying to interview some of these legendary houndsmen from the great state of Texas. Last week, we got to hear from Shannon Raska, who I ran some coyote hounds with. What a great time and what a great guy that was. But this week, we're going to catch up with Ryan Karl. And Ryan is a professional boxer. And you're going to hear about all of the big fights that he's fought in. And he's also a coon hunter. He started out running hog dogs and some running dogs and things like that. And coon hunting is where it's at for him. And we're going to tell that story too. But this is a great episode about Ryan's story and a great message about what it takes to be a winner. Ryan's had the opportunity to box professionally. He still is boxing professionally. He's boxed in some of the largest arenas and on some of the biggest stages for the greatest titles in the world. I'm going to let him break that all down for you in this podcast. But we got to run hogs with Rigo Garcia with his side hounds and also his bay dogs. And it was a cool trip. So make sure you tune in next week. Well, I guess it will be the end of this week. For All Mixed Up, Seth was a madman with a recorder at the American Hunting Terrier Association Yog Terrier Trials down there. He was capturing all kinds of content. I want to give a special shout out to Daryl Daniel. That guy, he tried to set me up with hunts way before I got there. The wheels fell off of almost everything we tried to do because of deer season. And deer is the king there in that part of the world, as it is getting to be everywhere. But we're not going to go down that road right now. I think we have to find ways to bridge those gaps, and that's what this podcast is all about. But I will put out a challenge there for all of my deer hunting listeners who think that hound hunting interferes with your deer hunting. There's only been one study conducted in the state of South Carolina, and it showed that it did not. So I guess my question to every deer hunter out there that thinks that dog hunters are interfering with their hunting, where's your science? All right, let's move on. I got to tell you about a promo that we got going on with Cajun Lights for the month of November. If you go to our website and you go to our sponsor page, you can find Cajun Lights on that sponsor page. So go to houndsmanxp.com, find Cajun, and go to their website. They got lights. LW just dropped a new hunting coat over there that I think looks pretty sharp. All the Cajun light equipment is there, hunting vests, all that stuff. So when you go there and you shop, Christmas is coming, by the way. It is Christmas season to be shopping anyway. I usually don't like to talk about Christmas until after Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday. But it's never too early to start looking ahead, and November is a good month to shop for that hunter in your life. You can go there and find your gear, put it in your cart. When you purchase $150 worth of gear, you can get a new leather patch cap. And this offer is for our patrons. Patreon. That's a good segue. There's so many things that we're offering over on Patreon. Seth is doing a great job over there managing that community. But there are several houndsmen that have already answered the call and said, man, we want to help preserve, protect, and promote this lifestyle. And when you join us at the $12 level, you are going to get a membership to the Sportsman's Alliance. If that's not answering the call, I don't know what is. So all kinds of cool stuff over there on our Patreon page, bonus material. You're going to get promo codes to all of our vendors, exclusive codes that go above and beyond our general codes that we give, because we want to say thank you. And when you go to Cajun Lights in the month of November, LW is going to send you a Houndsman XP leather patch cap when you use your Patreon code to order from there. So you're going to get 10% off, and you're going to get one of our new leather patch caps. Guys, I want to get into this, man. Ryan had so much cool stuff to talk about. There's life lessons in this thing. There's conversations about it, boxing and the parallels to boxing, and I can't tell you how important it is to making hound hunting mainstream conversations to feature these professional athletes that are also houndsmen. So let's get down to it. The old South Dog box is rocking. So let's get the tailgate down. It's time to dump the box. Ryan, I appreciate you sitting down with us and sitting down with me while I'm down here on my Texas trip.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're right here. This is right on the edge, what I've seen, kind of the edge of where, you know, you come down through Arkansas and you get into East Texas and you get down here and the grass is different. The trees are shaped different. You're right on the edge of that, going into that big, what everybody thinks of as Texas ranch country.
Yeah.
Know? This is a great area.
Yeah, you got a lot of oak trees. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun area. You got some good water around here still in spots,
yeah.
you know. And it's not too dry normally. You know, this year's been pretty bad for us, but we did just get some rain. And so, but it's not too bad. Now you keep going west, you keep going south, a little bit southwest, you're going to get into trouble, you know. You're going to need a totally different dog. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I want to talk to you, because you're down here right on the brink of it, and every PKC hunter knows about this area of Texas. You know, you get the Jewett Classic and the Lone Star 5000, and, you know, every year people come from all over the country. It's in a great time of the year because we're tired of the snow and everything in the north and the cold, nasty weather. And so what's like your low temperatures for this part of Texas?
Okay, so we're going to, generally speaking, during the wintertime, a lot of times we're just going to be running the 30s. Sometimes we're going to be in the 20s, not a lot.
Yeah.
And probably normally about 3 or 4 days in the upper teens.
Yeah.
Maybe. Some years we don't have that, you know.
So you guys still got to bury water lines, but you don't have to bury them real deep.
We got to bury them like 6 inches, you know. I mean, it's not. Now, we've always been fine on that, but now you go back to the Texas blizzard we had back in 2020, the end of 2020 and the early 21, and water pipes busting. I had them busting underneath my slab and leaking in my wall, and you know, I turned into a plumber overnight.
Right.
And it took, you know, everybody had issues from that. You know, I had to re-dig lines out everywhere pretty much, right, from that. And so, but I mean,
what's your daytime highs normally here, like in the middle of winter?
Middle of winter?
Yeah, it gets down to 20 at night or maybe 30 at night.
Well, I mean, we're pretty warm. We're going to be in the 50s most day at least, you know, it's or sometimes in the 40s, you know, but usually in our reality, we're 50s, you know, to 60s. You know, we're not going to be too awful cold. And it's great. Our wintertime is great. Everybody loves the Texas winter.
Yeah.
Because it's not too cold. You can still do everything you need to, but it's not too hot.
Right.
You know, the fall and the spring are the best time of year, you know, as far as getting around and doing things. You can do everything you need.
Right.
Summertime, some people just aren't made for it. You know, it's you know, you can't do all those things you want to do. You can't work outside all day. For a lot of people, they can't, you know,
right.
and it makes it difficult. So if you're working in Texas construction work, something like that, or even as a fighter, as a boxer, you're going to be tough because those gyms are going to be a metal building. Nobody has air conditioner. You know, nobody has AC. You're in a hot metal building. Maybe you got 1 or 2 doors open, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so boxing gyms, you're expected to be over 100 degrees in the gym.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every gym I've ever been to. I remember the first gym I went to was air conditioned. I told Dad, I said, this ain't no boxing gym. I was probably 17, 18 years old. I've been boxing since I was 11. First gym I got to that was, it was probably when I was about 18 years old. 17, I was sparring pros, and I was in Houston, Texas. And the first time got some AC in a gym, I said, this is weird, Dad. I don't like this, you know. And, but, you know.
We're going to talk about all that, but let's get back to, I want to talk about, you know, let me just lay this out. The reason I wanted to talk to you is because I like talking to people that are driven and focused and know where they're headed, which direction they're headed. And I think you take your professional boxing career, and there's lessons there in all of life. Sports is like a microcosm of our life. You know, whether it's going to the boxing ring for a boxing match, or you're going to play football or whatever. all that preparation and everything culminates in that one event at that time. And during the event, then you see the highs and lows. You know, you see successes, and then you battle back from adversity, and you know, not every match is going to be or every game is going to be a total domination. And there's going to be times within that where there's going to be struggles. So for me, when I look at sports, whether it's a college football game or a boxing match or MMA or whatever, or it's competition coon hunting,
yeah,
it's all the same. It's all the same. You know, it's just different. The arena's different. The competitors are the same. The struggles are the same. And that's why I want to talk to you about, you know, and bring some of these parallels from professional boxing, your personal life, and coon hunting, and how it all comes together.
Yeah, well, you know, boxing, in all reality, has taught me more than probably anything besides the Bible. You know, I have learned more from boxing in life is how to live my life and what to expect from life and how to deal with it. And that's probably the biggest thing is how to deal with it, right? So, like you talk about sports, all this kind of pours over into everything I do, from having that drive, having that heart, the ability to not give up when things get bad. You know, so say I go and I fight and I'm in this really hard fight and I'm in a 10 or 12 round fight, and say I'm losing 4 rounds in, I'm getting worked. You know, I can't do nothing I'm trying to do for 4 rounds. You know, I've got to be able to adjust in the middle of the storm. You got to do it right now. You can't wait, or you can't be content with just losing. I'm just going to keep going. I just don't want to get knocked out. I want to keep going just like I'm going, you know.
You're not going to play so that you're not.
You don't want to play safe.
Well,
right?
It's like when my son, he played basketball, and I said, man, you're shooting the ball like you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
You know, you got to shoot that ball like you're going to make every one.
That's right.
You can't be shooting, or you can't be playing like that. You can't be playing not to lose. You got to play to win.
That's right. Like, so I tell my son, I said, you're all in or you're nothing. I said, no in between. You can't be in between. You hustle as hard as you can, and if you're going to do it, and you try to do it right as best as you can, or don't do it at all. I said, because the only people that are rewarded are the person that act in the moment and that can do it to the fullest extent right then.
Yeah.
Nobody gets rewarded for waiting. I said, the longer you wait, the harder it is to do it, and the opportunity's gone. You're just not going to be there. You're never going to get that chance ever again in your life, whatever it is. And so with me, boxing, it taught me, so I was in fights all the time. I grew up in Cameron, Texas. Actually, you know, I was born in Brenham, Texas, over there by the Bluebell factory, probably right there in it. Who knows? You know, gotta love that. That's the Lord's ice cream right there, Bluebell. And so I was raised in Cameron, went to school in Cameron, kindergarten through 6th grade. Red-headed, freckle-faced boy. I was in fights all the time. The youngest of 4.
Brothers? Older brothers?
I got an older brother. So the oldest is the brother, and 2 middle are sisters.
Who was the toughest, the sisters or the brothers?
The toughest? Probably me, from having to deal with them, you know. But no, my brother by far. Yeah. And Ronnie actually, he boxed too, and he's probably more talented than I ever was. He just had different goals in mind. He was 16 when we started fighting or boxing, and I was 11. He was looking for girls and stuff like that, and I was into sports. That's what I was into. I was 11 years old. And so, so I grew up over there in Cameron, and I was in fights all the time. You know, the first thing I remember my daddy ever teaching me, besides the fact that he loved me, was how to fight. Yeah. And you keep hitting them until you don't stop hitting them until the teacher pulls you off. Don't you ever stop. And you never get on top of somebody and hit them because somebody come up and kick you in the head or something. You know, Daddy grew up real rough, and taught me things like that. And he, of course, he said, "So you think you're going to get in a fight, son? You hit them right then. You don't ever let nobody hit you first." He always told me that. And but like I said, my daddy grew up really rough. His mama died when he was a little kid. He's 6, 7 years old. His mama died, and his daddy ran a bar of his home on the weekends only. And so he was home alone all week with his siblings, living like a bunch of heathens. And so didn't have nothing they needed, you know. And so they made do. He lived like he had to. And so he taught us the same way. And I remember growing up and having in fights all the time. Somebody say something, back then everybody wanted to come out with your mama jokes. And Daddy was always big about, you don't let nobody say nothing about your mama. Or say nothing about any of us, but especially not your mama, of anybody. Right. And so I'm in fights every day. Every day at school I'm in fights. And I was never scared, never bothered me. I could fight at the drop of a hat. Didn't bother me, probably from being the youngest of 4, fighting all the time with my brothers and sisters. And my sisters are both, they're not little bitty wimps or nothing either. They're 5'10" and 5'9", and they're both strong. And they both know how to punch because Daddy taught them. And so it was, it was rough living. And so I grew up doing this, and I knew how to fight and how to do all this stuff. And I was in fights. It didn't bother me, in ISS and things like that.
The thing I told my girls when they went to school, I said, hey, I don't want to come to school for one of you being in a fight.
You both better be in a fight.
That's right. If I come to school and for one of you, you both better be sitting in that office.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And so we were always real tight-knit like that, like family over everything is the way we were raised.
Yeah.
Your brothers and sisters, your mom and daddy over everything. Mm-hmm. Right there. That's it. Nothing else in between. I don't care who it is, what you're doing. I don't care if it's your girlfriend. I don't care. Your sister over everybody. Right. Just like that. And so we finally got to boxing. I remember my brother wanted to box. My mama found a boxing gym in Waco, Texas, Waco Boxing Club.
Your mom found it?
My mom found it. My dad, we had a boxing bag in the house, taught us how to fight and all those things, He had boxed a little bit. It was when he was younger, but my mom found the boxing gym for us boys. She didn't want to let the girls box. Now, looking back, she says, I should have let them box.
Right.
She goes, but they were girls. I didn't know much about it. I didn't want them to box. I think about their noses,
Right.
And being a mama. And so we go to this boxing gym. I didn't even want to go because I was playing with my friend. I was real big into football, doing all these things, Pee Wee football, and I live for football. And so we go, and my brother, he's sparring. He knocks a guy down the first time sparring, drops him. He could just real natural power, naturally punch, and just things about him. And I loved it. I just love boxing. It's a one-on-one thing. It's me and them, and I was small.
Right.
And so I was big into football, but I was little, So I think I was 12 years old. I weighed 73 pounds my first fight. I was tiny.
No kidding.
I was tiny.
Yeah.
And so I started boxing, and I fell in love with it. I just do. I love the sport. I'm not scared to fight. And and everybody always told me, oh, I could never box. I just see red. And it's not like that.
Right.
You haven't been in very many fights, I guess. I don't know. And I said, it's not like that, though. In a boxing, I said, you're fighting somebody that is training just to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this isn't just some random guy that doesn't know how to fight, that just in the street or in a bar that's drunk and, he's handicapped in this way.
Right.
So this is a guy that's been training hard, eating right, working out.
Watching films on
Watching film just to beat you up.
Right.
He's not scared at all. So it gives you a different kind of mentality on it. But the biggest thing I learned from boxing at that time was respect for others and myself, and confidence is what it gave me. It gave me so much confidence. After I started boxing, my fights cut down in that school in Cameron probably to 20% of what I was doing in fights all the time. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had to. I didn't feel like I had to hit somebody just because they said something. It was different. And not to say that anybody still said anything about my mom. I still hit them, But otherwise, I didn't get in so many fights, And I remember we moved to Milano School after that. Our house burned down. And so we ended up moving back over here. And I think I got in maybe one fight, maybe the whole time I was here, from 7th grade all the way through 12th. But I was fighting. I was boxing a lot more. And I still wasn't big. I didn't hit 100 pounds until my freshman year, second semester,
Yeah.
And so when I graduated, I was fighting at 141 as an amateur. I was never a real big guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always, in everything I did, I played hard and I was tough and I did the best I could. I was real big about that. And so, but it taught me so much in all my sports. I don't ever remember being tired in any sport I ever did besides boxing, maybe cross country. I'd get tired, of course, in cross country, pushing myself to the max. But like in football, I remember watching guys exhausted. I was like, this is easy because I boxed year round. I never took a break off of boxing. And so all these sports, it was always different. But boxing taught me so much as far as respect and comfortability and how to get over things, how to lose.
Yeah.
Go out there and lose, and not just lose in front of everybody watching you. You've got a crowd of people watching you fail, right? So you think about what you do in your job, and you mess up, and your boss reprimands you or whatever, right? You fail. Your boss brings you into the office and he tells you how you did a bad job, and you go on about your day. But how about your boss taking you out there on a stage in front of hundreds of people as an amateur and reprimanding you there, in front of everybody? Yeah. That's what it is. They're going to see you either win or fail. You're going to live and die by the sword. You are who you are. You can't say you're something that you're not because everybody can see it. You're right in front of everybody.
So you learned how to deal with, core principles in your life like humility and defeating your own ego and things like that in those moments.
Humility. That's a word for you right there. Humility. If anything boxing teaches you, it's definitely humility. Yeah. You're going to become humble. And if you're not, you will soon.
You think every boxer learns that?
I think they have to, or they just don't do it.
But we don't see that. We don't see that in the Mike Tysons and the Floyd Mayweathers and.
Well, so if you listen to a lot of Mike Tyson stuff, so Mike Tyson, he was definitely a different animal back then, and he still talks about it, and it's funny the way he explains it because it's very similar to the way I feel, and I never thought about it. He said, although I'm never scared, I'll say that, but he would say that whenever I am when the fight is made, he goes, I'm scared to death. And he said, every day of training, every day I get more and more confident. And by the time I get to the ring, I'm invincible. And so that was why he appeared that way.
Yeah.
It's because it was all the mentality and the strength going into it. Mm-hmm. And I'm never scared. I would never say that I'm ever scared of a fight or a person in general. I used to be scared of my dad. As I've become closer to God, I'm not scared of anybody, in my faith. And so he'll still whoop me. And, you got to realize I'm 5'10". My dad is 6'4". I didn't get blessed with the height and the size and the strength that he has. And so, but I think that all fighters are going to feel the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's all about preparedness. And the only thing that scares me, I'll take that back. The only thing that scares me is being tired, getting tired in the ring.
Being unprepared.
Being unprepared, being tired. Because that is how you get hurt. That's it. Mm-hmm. Of course you can get hurt. A lot of fighters have gotten hurt and things like that. Usually, almost always, when fighters get hurt in the ring as a professional, it is due to what has happened before the fight. Mm-hmm. The making the weight, hurting themselves making the weight, or hurting themselves in sparring too big of guys or too much, and not taking rest, not giving themselves rest, and that's how they end up getting hurt. But the only thing that scares me is being unprepared. It's terrifying to think of getting in the ring not at your best.
Right. That applies to military.
Yeah.
To the elite military units. The reason they're so good is because they're so well prepared.
Yeah.
And when you're preparing for those, those workups, for those deployments, you're going through the most mundane details. But you're striving for excellence every time you do it. That way, when you get into a bad situation, just like Mike Tyson, you're prepared. Mm-hmm. You feel invincible. I've been here. I've done that.
Yeah, not worried about nothing. I got it. It's natural reaction. It's natural ability.
It's not that Marines, individually are a bunch of badasses. It's that they're prepared for what they're getting ready to do.
That's right.
And the same way with SEALs and Rangers and boxers and professional football players,
consistency because they're prepared. And the only way to become
how much
discipline?
Okay. How much discipline? Where do you find the personal discipline to continue to prepare?
So my thing used to be just a hunger to want to be the best. I want to be the best, and not only do I want to be the best, I want to provide for my family. So that was where I used to have I wouldn't say discipline, my motivation. Mm-hmm. It used to be my motivation. And so I used to train because I'm so competitive. And whenever they would put me, I was living in Houston whenever I first turned pro. We moved to Houston, me and my wife did, and started training with Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields trained Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and all these guys, right? Jamal Charlo. And he's a Hall of Fame trainer, right?
Yeah.
And so I trained with Ronnie. I knew him in the amateurs. I sparred his guys, and then we turned pro with them and stuff. And so my thing then was competitiveness. I was around all these other fighters, and I was living there, and I was training all with them, not just doing my boxing training, but also my strength training. right there. And so we were doing the strength training, and it was funny because you would see the guys, the way they looked at it. They're going to go to strength training. I was going to strength training to win. They're like, what are you talking about, to win? I'm like, I'm going to be better than all of y'all today. And all this running and all this lifting weights we're going to do, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to do it faster, harder, better than you in every way. And there's nothing I could turn off or do. Like, I couldn't just go and just, like, play around and work half-heartedly because I had to be better than that guy working out. It's just a thing that I have. I'm just so competitive in boxing and I'm not that competitive in everything. My son would tell you I am, but I'm not, like coon hunting. I'm not as, like, in competition hunting. If I haven't been able to really, now if I've been working my dog and I've been hunting like I should, I'm competitive. But if I haven't, I'm not at all, right? Because I'm not going to hold my dog to a standard I wouldn't hold myself to. And so
let's talk about, finish up that part about training in the professional gym and then roll into that side of it about competition hunting.
Okay. So as far as that and the professionalism, I'm around these people and I've got to be better than them. So that was always my motivation. And now that I have moved back home because my kids need me, it's too hard on my children for me to be away for camp, right? So we moved back here, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago or 6 years ago. We moved back to Milano.
How many kids do you have?
I've got 4 kids and a 5th on the way. So
and what are the ages on
I like
the kids?
being broke and tired. No. So I've got an 8-year-old. I've got a 3-year-old. I've got my little girl is about 22 months old. So she's almost 2. I've got a 7-month-old. And so everything in this past 3 years has been happening pretty fast. And I had a pretty good break on the first and second one.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is nice. So 4 years, it was longer than we wanted to have kids every 2 years apart, but ended up having a big break and then thinking we were still going to get big breaks. We got no breaks.
Right.
The more we went, the less we got. And so, so that was what I had. That was my motivation. And that when I moved back, I'm training. I'm training all my trainings with my dad at the house, like I always did, all the way through the amateurs. So I was training with my dad at the house, and I'm training in Bryan with Karl Perry at the Bryan Boxing Club. And it's, they work together, both my trainers. And so I go back and forth. A lot of times, I'm almost always by myself training. And so it's totally different. I don't have anybody to compete with.
Yeah.
I'm at home. I don't have anybody to compete with. And now it's turned into, and I had a struggle there for a while. Not knowing I had a struggle. I mean, I knew I had a struggle working out and doing things. It was like, wasn't so. And now I've developed, of course, discipline. I wish I had the discipline now I wish I had this discipline when I was 18.
Yeah. How old are you now?
Total different life. I'm 30. Total different life. Just because I never understood it. My dad always told me, you got to love it, Ryan. You got to love doing these kind of workouts. And now I understand that, wholeheartedly. You got to do it no matter what. Don't matter if you like it or don't like it.
So you're still training right now?
Yeah, I'm in training right now.
Are you in training for a upcoming fight?
Yeah, okay, so we've had some fights pushed back. This year's been kind of since COVID hit, it's kind of been like this, I've had one fight a year since COVID hit. And so I fought in February on Fox in Vegas, and then I was supposed to fight again, and it's like negotiations with different people, and it always falling through. Nothing's as stable as it was. It's getting back to normal, but it's not there yet.
So
we're looking at December or January.
What weight class are you fighting?
This fight will be at welterweight, 147.
147. And what's man, we could go so deep in, but this is a hound podcast, so we can't go real deep. But what's the top bill fight you've ever fought? I
fought for the world title at 140 pounds in 2020. I lost, and I got a pretty bad cut, a couple of them from my headbutt, and I bled like a stuck pig and couldn't see. But that's not an excuse. I lost.
Where was that fight at?
San Antonio. It was on Showtime pay-per-view. I was a co-main event. And it was the first fight back from COVID with fans. Mm-hmm. And so they put us up in a hotel on the 3rd floor, and we couldn't leave the floor for a week.
Like a bubble type thing.
We were in the bubble. That's exactly what they called it. So I COVID tested twice a week for about 12 weeks for the whole camp, because it was a long camp because it kept getting pushed back because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then when we get to the fights, I'm COVID tested again. And if I would have popped positive at the fight, my fight's pulled. It's over.
Yeah.
I can't fight. Now you just did 12 weeks of work, and you're about to be in your biggest fight of your life, and you can't do it. And so we had to eat the food they had there. We took a lot of food ourselves and things like that. And so it was quite strange. It was really different.
Did it work on your mental part when you had to go through all that part? Did it work on your mental game a little bit?
Not really for me, because it didn't bother me much. I was pretty much, I'm kind of in the zone. We made weight great. We did everything great. We worked so hard. I actually went to my parents' house for camp, even though we only lived at the time about 5 or 6 miles from them.
Yeah.
I went to my dad's house and I stayed there for camp, the entire camp.
No kidding.
Because it's a bubble, of course. So I stayed there the entire camp. And my son actually didn't go to school, and they stayed in a bubble themselves, so I could see them. He was homeschooled for the whole time I was in camp, just so he could be around me. Because if not, he couldn't see me.
Right. And
so it was different.
Yeah.
But
so who'd you fight?
I fought Mario Barrios, who was a world champion, and he's a very good fighter. We want that fight back, of course. We haven't received it yet. We've asked for it, but we haven't gotten it. It's part of boxing. Looking for the rematch always. I'm 19-4 as a pro. I've been trying to get the rematch. My first loss, I was 13-0, lost to a 15-0, Eddie Ramirez, and we haven't been able to get that rematch back either. I lost to Kevin Watts right after my elbow surgeries. I had a Tommy John surgery on my left elbow, and I had a bone spurs on my right. And I wasn't prepared. That's all it came down to. I got tired.
Yeah.
You're nothing. You get tired, you're nothing. All that you know means nothing. You're tired. You can't do it. You can't implement it. So
that's, everybody talks about professional athletes or we look at these professional athletes, and a lot of times we don't understand why they train so hard. It's so that they can think clearly in the moment. It's so that they can avoid injury. Mm-hmm. You could take the smallest guy even on a high school team anymore and hit me right now, and it'd be devastating for me, because they've been training for that, and taking that kind of hit, it would destroy me because I'm not trained for it. I'm not prepared.
Being prepared is key to life.
Yeah. So let's talk about coon hunting. I want to make this transition and talk about how all the things that you've learned in boxing, how we can apply those to having a better experience, more success, more fun. I can tell you, man, that I'm with you. The times that I've walked into a cast where I wasn't prepared is when the nerves start getting to you.
Yeah.
And I'm always nervous before a big cast. If I'm going into the third night of an event and have a chance, I'm going to be nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that worries me is when I'm not prepared. That's when
you don't know exactly what your dog's going to do.
Exactly.
Your dog is not prepared. You might feel like, a lot of people, they don't
That's
realize
what's unique.
You don't realize that your dog's an athlete. So it's easy for me because I think of myself and I put myself in the dog's position. I say, Ryan, you've been training once a week for the last 3 weeks. You think you're going to go fight one of these top pros, one of these top fighters, and you're going to be any good?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to try. Don't get me wrong. I've got heart. But the likelihood of you being successful, slim to none. It's just a fact. And so when I take my dog hunting once a week, and I haven't been hunting him a lot, hardly at all. He's kind of out of shape. He's fat. He's going to get tired. Guess what happens when you get tired? You don't think right. You can't do nothing successful.
You think dogs do that too?
Exactly. I think all things do. I think everything does. Whenever they get tired, you start resorting to what you can do, survival. After you get tired, most people resort to survival. Mm-hmm. And so it's only very few people or dogs or anything that whenever things get really hard, you get really tired and continue and don't quit.
Well, through all this professional boxing and stuff, have you coon hunted through the whole thing, or?
I've coon hunted through the whole thing. I don't hunt during a camp.
Right.
So it's always put me in a spot with my dogs, right? So I'll hunt really hard right after a fight's over. I'm talking about I'll get home the next night, I'm in the woods, and I'll be in the woods 3, 4, 5 times a week at least, you know, and I'm hunting during the day times too, because it's like I went through this withdrawal period for at least 8 weeks, and I've got to get it back. That's how I feel. And so I'm hunting, and I've got these fat, out-of-shape dogs when I start, you know.
Oh, man. How did you start hunting? It sounds like, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm asking myself this question. It's like, man, with all this boxing and the different places you've lived and, you know, how did hunting start for you?
It's just
Did your dad hunt?
My dad didn't really hunt. No, my dad didn't hunt, didn't coon hunt. He didn't do a lot of hunting anyways. In general, we did some, but not really, you know. And so, but I was always very interested in dogs. I always loved dogs.
Yeah.
We had game chickens my whole life growing up and things like that. And we had dogs and stuff, so I'm always into things like that.
What kind of dogs did you have when you had the game chickens?
Dad had Great Pyrenees dogs.
Okay.
And he had a shepherd dog out there, a German shepherd Pyrenees cross.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
well, how'd that transfer
he
over
was mean.
to coon hunting and chasing stuff around?
Just learning them. We had an old dog named that dog named Roger. That old dog would catch a chicken for you. Never seen a dog like it since. You could go anytime you go catch a rooster out of a pen, he'd hit the back of the pen, go straight to the back of the pen, push this rooster forward every time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember little kids chasing chickens down. There wasn't a chicken alive that could outrun me.
Well, Rocky trained like that.
I'm talking about Rocky he wouldn't have made a pebble on me. I'm talking about, I could fly now. I chase every chicken down, them old game hens, you know, them yard hens.
Oh,
you talking
man.
about catching for time to catch them brood hens or time to catch them out the yard? You better be in shape. They got to get tired before you do. So,
yeah. Old Mick was onto something, wasn't he, when he was training Rocky?
It wasn't a bad idea. I remember the first time I seen it, I was like, I've been doing this for years. I'm going to be great at this, you know. That's all I got to do. I'll be the best. And I was naturally gifted as a runner anyways. And so, but I remember chasing these chickens down, and this dog having the sense. And I remember this stag started to come off the ground, started to fly, and that was the worst thing that could happen. You know, we got all these oak trees out here, and these chickens, you'd be chasing them, these game hens, and these little young stags, they took off flying. They're going to get to a tree. You're stuck. Yeah. You got to go find something else to chase. He's going to get his rest up there. When he comes down, he'll be fresh. He ain't coming down until he's ready.
Right.
And I remember this dog catching this rooster in his mouth. He's coming off the ground. This dog catches this rooster in his mouth. And I'll never forget it. And he's got his paws on this rooster, holding him like this with his face down there. But he's not biting him. He's not hurting him at all.
He's just holding him.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Because nobody had ever taught this dog nothing like this. You know, no one had ever given this dog commands, taught him anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, holding this dog. Smart, just intelligent, you know.
Yeah.
And I caught this chicken, and I'll never forget that. It blew my mind. I was like, what can I do with these dogs?
Right.
These dogs can do anything.
Yeah.
And, of course, you know, I watch where the red fern grows, so I'm practically a specialist at this point. You know, I already know everything about it, you know. Got at least, you know, 3 red bones, and no, I'm just kidding. But, you know, and so that's how dogs kind of worked on me from there. I had labs and stuff like that as a kid, and I loved them. I remember we went to go pick up this yellow lab from a guy down here named Ronnie Westbrook, and Mom says we pull up, and I don't hardly ever remember it. She said we pull up, and he said he got this two big old black labs just trying to act like they're going to eat you alive. And she says next thing she knows, she sees me already up there walking in front of the car, just walking up there, petting one of them, walking off. Just she said I was like 6 or 7. She was like, you just didn't care. It's like, you know, you weren't real worried, real scared, but I'm intelligent. No, I'm not going to walk up on any dog. Any dog looks mean, I believe it.
You got bit by the preacher's dog.
I got bit by the preacher's dog. 2 of them. And so I keep my distance, you know, from preachers and dogs. And so, no. But, you know, that kind of worked on me from there. And I started hunting with my friends. We moved to Milano. I was over here doing hog hunting and stuff. That's really what I got into, was hog hunting.
No kidding. You started hog hunting.
I did a lot of hog hunting. I had some running walker crosses. And I liked hound dogs.
Yeah.
I just did. I liked the hounds. I liked them. So I had like some 3/4 hound, quarter cur dogs and stuff. And my cousin Jerry West, my daddy always told me my whole life he had hounds over there in Holland, Texas. And so we went over there. And I said, Dad, let's stop by Jerry's. I was probably 17, 18 years old. And we stopped. I might have been, I was around 18. And I stopped by and talked to Jerry. He's got blue ticks. And so I talked with Jerry for a while, and he wants to go hunting. I was like, yeah, man, let's go hunting. You know, me and my buddy Matt over here in Gulls, Matt Gents, talking about going hunting, coon hunting, because his daddy coon hunted.
Right.
And right over American Heritage Hunt and all this stuff. And so we get out there, Jerry comes out there, goes hunting, and it's like instant. It's instantly over for me. I don't have any hog dogs anymore. I'm coon hunting.
Yeah.
Just what I'm doing. It's a totally different type of sport, totally different kind of rush. but I loved it. And so I'm coon hunting now all the time. And, you know, his daddy, which would be my great uncle, started the Nolan Creek line of blue ticks. And I think his kennel was registered with UKC in 1956.
Nolan Creek Pride.
Nolan Creek Pride.
Yeah.
And the old Nolan Creek Pride dog they had. And, you know, I've got the Nolan Creek Pride now, much younger. And, of course, the other one's dead. But
where'd those dogs go back to beyond that? Do you know?
Warren up there in Oklahoma. You know, everything came
Warren
from him
Houndsman.
essentially. Yeah.
Smoky River.
Yeah, Smoky River. Straight from him. Originally, the original dog he bought, I think the first one was called Nolan Creek Ring, and straight from Warren. And so,
do you know what dog, which one of
there.
Warren's dogs that came from?
You know, I've got the pedigree at the house.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go back and look and see. I can't remember at the moment. I think he bought two of them at the same time. I can't remember if they were litter mates or not, but I remember Ring. And I can't remember that Jerry would know. Jerry don't forget, you know.
Right.
Jerry knows everything about dogs. I got any kind of questions about anything that ever happened, any kind of pedigree, I just call Jerry.
Yeah.
As long as it's not anything recent, he'll tell me word for word. He'll recite to me an entire pedigree off a dog that he never owned, you know. And so, but I got into these dogs, and it was it's neat because it's my family, you know, of course. And Jerry had a lot of respect for him. Really nice, you know. First dog I ever got was from Bobby Isabel. And Jerry bought the dog for me. You know, he bought him for me. And 'cause I was like, I don't know, Jerry. You know, spend this money on this dog right now. I was young, and he said, well, you just pay me back when you can. Just don't worry about it. I said, I don't like that, Jerry. I don't like that. I don't want to have, you to do nothing like that. And he said, don't worry about it. I done did it. You know, it's too late. And so, and Jerry ended up giving me the rest of the dog. I went to go pay him for the dog, and he said, nah.
Was he a finished dog at the time?
Yeah, he was an old dog.
Okay.
It's a perfect dog for me to have a first dog.
So he found a dog that could teach you to coon hunt.
That's right. He set me up perfect. You know, he was trying to get me into it all he could, all the time. And so I'm hunting with him all the time, going with him all these different places, going to go hunt with him and, these different guys he's introducing me to that I'm still friends with, Robert Tompkins and these guys like this. And so little by little.
What do you think would have happened if he would have gave you, a pup? Or a dog that didn't know anything off the yard, or gave you one of the leftovers.
Give me a call or something like that.
Yeah, what do you think would have happened?
I wouldn't have been interested. It wouldn't have been no fun. It wouldn't have been no good. I remember walking and taking this dog hunting for the first time. Me and I'm out there hunting, and I'm out there, and I'm going through, and I finally get to this tree. And this dog belonged – see, Bobby had bought him off an old man that couldn't hunt anymore. It was nothing but a hide dog.
Right.
And I get into this tree with this dog, old dollar dog, big old ball mouth dog, typical blue tick, He was echo bred.
Take him 2 hours to get
his mama was off of Echo 4. It took him at least 4 hours. He was a true blue dog. He treated 2 possums on the way. And I remember walking into this tree, first time by myself hunting this dog. And I remember backing up, and I'm looking in this tree for this coon. And the dog shuts up, totally silent. And I'm like, where's my dog at? And I look around, this dog is looking in this tree too. I'm like, how much you been hunted, boy?
Yeah.
He's looking up. The dog's looking up in the tree. He's dead quiet, of course, like they all get. They've been knocked a bunch out too. He's dead quiet.
Yeah.
He's just waiting on that sound, just waiting on that crack and waiting on that fall. And I remember finding that coon and knocking it out, and that dog carried that coon all the way back to the truck for me. It's probably like 800 yards, and it was like, couldn't beat it,
Yeah.
It's like I'm lit for life. It's probably the worst drug I've ever done is coon hunting, and but it was just from then on I wanted to hunt. Now my style of hunting and Jerry's style of hunting have changed over the years. I'm not.
Well, before we get there, I got to follow. I got to jump in here because I got questions.
Jump in all over it.
Briar Creek Kennels is your complete hound hunting outfitter. Boots, lights, collars, and tracking equipment. Dog boxes, kennel supplies, collars, clothes, squallers. Whew, they have it all. Briar Creek Kennel is a Garmin and Dogtra dealer. Owner Chris Girth will ensure Briar Creek Kennel customers will get top-of-the-industry customer service. Whether you purchase from their website or you find them at a major coonhound event, Chris and his staff will share expert knowledge and experience about every product they offer. Chris Girth is a top competitor and breeder of hounds. He knows what gear you need to be successful. Look for Briar Creek Kennels on the web for a complete online store, or look at their fully stocked trailer at any major coonhound event. Briar Creek Kennels, offering a hound hunting public generations of excellence.
So the reason I asked you about that, if he had been given that pup or that young dog, I always see, and I think the intentions are absolutely pure. You know, I've got a pup I'd like to give to a kid. I have found that I like hunting young dogs. You know, they excite me. You never know what you're going to, you know, getting them to that point where they're consistent and they're hunting good. I really like that. So by the time if I take a dog out and I unsnap it and I know what it's going to do and it's going to go out there and tree a coon, I get bored with it.
Yeah.
I've always said, if you want to get these kids really hooked on coon hunting, give them those older dogs
that you're not hunting no more.
Yeah, maybe you're past them on your breeding program and you're not hunting anymore. Those are the dogs that are going to get these kids interested, because they're easy. It's all new to them. They're fun. But if they can't figure stuff out, these kids have no experience. It's like putting the boxing gloves on a kid and putting him in the ring with you.
With an open fighter, somebody that's really good, all you're gonna do is get them burned out right there, get them beat up. So I don't really want to do this. This don't sound like no fun.
Right.
You put them there with somebody that's equal to them and give them an opportunity is totally different.
Yeah.
And so, with the kid, you got to shelter them on that.
Yeah, but I'm not saying we do everything for them. I'm just saying, you give them the right start. You don't have to go out there and do everything. You've
got to light the fire for them.
Yeah,
you got to light the fire.
That's all we're doing.
That's all you got to do. You don't have to keep the fire lit. All you have to do is light the fire for them. Give them that dog that gives them the opportunity. That's right. Give them the dog to give them the opportunity, and to do it. The old dollar dog I had, he was a finished dog.
Yeah,
he was what he was always going to be. He was never going to be anything more or anything less. I've seen him be a lot less. I shouldn't say that, but he was always going to be that kind of dog.
Yeah.
He was at the pinnacle of his thing. He was never going to make any kind of competition dog or anything like that. And so
where did you go? How did you get into competition? Let's talk about that party.
I'm competitive, and so I remember going with Jerry, and we went to an AKC hunt in Wilder, Texas, with Ken Woodmaker. And Ray Dismuke's there, and all of them, Clint Berger, and I drew out first competition I ever competed in. I drew out with Kenwood, Clint, and Clint didn't have pistol. I don't remember what he had back then. I can't remember who else I drew out with. But I remember getting out there, and Jerry had told me, Ryan, why don't you come with me to one and just watch. Mm-hmm. Watch how it's done. And me being me, I'm impulsive. I want to do stuff right now, and I want to find out. I'm like, Jerry, I already got my dog here. I showed him. I said, why don't I just go hunt him? I want to hunt him. I've already read the rule book 2, 3, 4 times on the way down there. And I was riding with Jerry, and he's like, okay. It's like, good luck. You don't want to listen. It'd be a lot easier if you did. And that's something I've learned too. And so I got there on this coon hunt with Kenwood and them. And I remember Kenwood, I don't remember he's hunting. All of a sudden, he comes out with a roar, tree, whoever. I mean, loud, and it freaked me out a little bit. I was like, what, So I know we were getting this excited. I know we were getting Pentecostal over it, And so, and so then I try to keep up with them, and I end up losing a tiebreaker, right? Losing down on a tiebreaker because dog did tree a coon. He did what he always does. He goes out there and he trees a coon. He's not the fastest about it, but he's always pretty honest about it.
Yeah.
Unless something was a little bit touchy on a tree, not necessarily a mean dog, but anything that was a little bit pushy even, he might be there, but he's going to be pretty far back, or he's not going to be there at all. He just couldn't take any kind of pressure. And so I had a lot of fun with him, and that was my first competition. And I remember after that, I had made some mistakes on my calls. They could have won me the cast, and it bothered me because I wasn't prepared.
You weren't prepared. I was getting ready to say that.
I wasn't prepared, and so I was like, I can't do this. My dog was prepared. I wasn't prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I always try to be at least prepared no matter what, which I am normally for competition hunts. My dog isn't always because I come out of camp. I don't hunt, and so – but anyways, get back to what I was talking about. And so, $100 like that, and I was like, and of course I'm hooked. And now I've had the competition hunt. Now I want to win.
Right.
The first time I went, I would like to win, don't get me wrong. But I was just going kind of see and fill it out, get used to it. As my first one, I wasn't expecting nothing special. I'm smart enough about that. From sports, I don't know who I'm going to draw it with, what kind of dogs I'm drawing out with. And the more I did it, the more I wanted. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily as far as winning. The more winning I wanted, the more consistency, the more I wanted to see my dogs do everything right, because I realized at that point my dogs are a reflection of me on my hunting and my training.
But how, realistically, though, you want to see them do everything right, but they're still just dogs. So how do you deal with that in a cast when a dog makes a mistake and they're not doing something right?
If I've been prepared, if my dog is prepared and I am prepared, and my dog does something wrong, of course you're in a cast. You can't do no correcting or doing anything with it. Does it make me frustrated? It might frustrate me, but now it doesn't so much now as it did back then. I used to get mad, just downright mad. Not poor sportsman mad to everybody else, but I'd be downright mad at that dog. Dog, I hate you. I hate you, you sorry sack of bones, or whatever. And now I'm like, what are you doing? I want to know why he did it, for one. And is it genetic? Is this why he's falling back on this? Or is it this or this or this?
Did I fail to prepare him, get him ready for this?
Did I fail him on this topic or on this subject? Did I not do this? Did I not prepare him in this way?
Don't you think the best handlers, though, they can pivot? It's just like being in the boxing.
You got to be able to make adjustments.
You got to be able to make adjustments. My dog made a mistake, so now we know we got to do this.
That's right.
We got the bad call there. Somebody else got a good break, so now we got to do this.
I learn from it.
Yeah,
I learn from it. So every time I get in these casts, I learn something every time I'm in a cast. And it's not always a good thing. I learn things not to do that I've done, and I see somebody do something, I'm like, well, now I know never to do that. That was a terrible mistake he made. And so I learned a lot from listening and talking to Jerry, Ray Dismukes down here. He's probably one of the most active coon hunters I know in the state of Texas still, and he's in his mid to late 70s, But I learned a lot from them. Ray, it's funny to talk about who's competitive and who isn't. Competition hunts, I'm not that competitive. I'm just not. Unless my dog's really prepared, then I'm competitive. I want to win. But a lot of it, to me, still resides on the dog, not as much me at that point. Yeah. I'm prepared to call my dog the best I can. Ray, I ain't never seen a more competitive person in my life. This is he's as competitive in coon hunting as I am in boxing.
Well, what does that look like, though? Because we got some people listen to the podcast and they think, they're thinking, when you say competitive, then I think a lot of times people that aren't familiar with competition coon hunting and a true competitor, they think, man, he's competitive. That means he's going to try to take advantage of everything. He's going to try to, get by with what he gets by with. What does that mean? When you say he's competitive, draw a picture for us.
Ray knows the rules inside and out. Think of somebody as the best judge you can imagine. The person that knows the most, the teacher. Think of someone like that. And then on top of that, the teacher hunts more than anybody you know. The teacher knows his dog better than anyone you know. He is willing to sacrifice all of that to win. And when he does that...
Is he willing to sacrifice his character and his principles?
He's not willing to sacrifice his integrity.
Okay.
He's not going to come out there and pencil whip a kid.
Right.
He's not going to do that. Now you're in a big hunt. He's going to win. You do something wrong, he's going to tell you did something wrong.
All right, that's what I'm trying to.
It's a hunt. He's going to do that. It's going to be like that. So if I show up, and we're in a big hunt, and I'm an experienced coon hunter. I've known Ray for a long time. Ray's one of my best buddies that I hunt with, and I draw out with Ray. Ray's going to beat me, and he's going to try to best he can.
Right.
And so if I go out there and I strike my dog, and he knows my dog's better than I do, because we hunt a lot. And if I was to strike my dog and it's not my dog, he's going to minus me right there.
Right.
Instantly. It's the rules.
Right.
It's not my fault you did it. I'm just here to enforce it. I'm the judge. It is what it is. We walk into a tree. My dog don't do it, but if a dog walks back to you minus. Go walk into a tree, dog's nose on the ground, minus. I don't care if he's 5 feet from the tree. It's like that, you know.
Yeah.
His dog is 5 feet from the tree, nose on the ground, minus himself.
Yeah.
Just like that. But it's not, because he hunts them so much. If it happens, I say it's not, because dogs will do anything. You say
Right.
they won't do it, they'll do it first thing, as soon as they can. And but you know, so Ray's that way. He's competitive.
I'll tell you, I got a real funny story. We were hunting Autumn Oaks. I drew Dick Brothers in this cast, and it was the 50th, and I was hunting plot male, Boone, and he was split tree. Walking to him, we get in there, and he had shut up for just a second, and I thought, what's he doing? And we kept walking, and it wasn't like a deal. He shut up, and we stopped and put the 2 on him. We were only like 30 yards from the tree.
Yeah.
He was right over a little rise. I mean, just a little rise, and we just took like 5 steps up to the top and shined our lights. And that sucker had his nose on a log over here, and when he saw us, he knew that he wasn't supposed to be there, and boom, he's back on the tree. Dick minused him, and that was one of those deals. It's like, he was prepared. I was prepared. But he was being a dog. And it was like, man, of all times to start being a dog is now.
That's right.
And we took the pump, and he got back on it, and I said, tree him back in, because I knew he wasn't going to leave.
Yeah.
And everything was treed.
Yeah.
So immediately I could handle him.
there.
And bang, I handled him, and he had a coon.
Yeah.
But, I took a 100 pump. And it wasn't that he wasn't prepared. That was one of those freak things where it was like, of all the time. You know, you can do that when I'm 300 or 400 yards away.
Yeah, not right now. But when I got my light on you.
And Dick
Don't
Brothers
you hear my feet coming, boy? You know.
Dick Brothers is standing right there with me, but with the card, and he was more than happy to put that minus right there.
Of course, yeah, we're here to win. That's the way it is. So if I'm gonna fight, and somebody makes a mistake, I'm gonna capitalize on it right then. I don't care. Life ain't fair. You made a mistake. You're gonna pay for it.
Well, okay, so that's a good topic right there, Ryan. You know, how do you a lot of people don't know how to lose. They don't know how to, and I'm not even going to say lose. I'm going to say, take that minus, take that adversity that they're facing in that cast, and they never are able to bounce back from that throughout the whole cast. They sit there and they harbor and they think about, what maybe their dog did it to them. Maybe they took a minus that they don't agree with or they don't understand, but they pack that with them. I've seen so many hunters and casts, they lose the cast in the first 10 minutes because they never get over it.
They're like a kid. Like a kid that's sour, has never learned it, and they can't get past it. They're still stuck on that the whole time, and they'll hate you forever for it. That's how they act in that moment.
Yeah.
Next time you see them, they might be good and might be totally different. It's just in that moment they get so worked up, and their emotions, you can't let your emotions control you in anything you do. Because if your emotions can control you, that means someone else can control you. Just by affecting your emotions.
Right.
Making you feel a certain type of way, I can control your whole life. And so the way that I do it with learning how to lose is the only way that I can lose. I've lost whenever I did not give everything, and I hated it. It made me so sour and upset. When I lose, when I give everything, you can't. You never know I lost. I'm content and happy, so I gave everything I had. I was fighting in San Antonio, the world title fight. It's a close fight. I get cut right above my eye. Right here, it almost looked like a lightning bolt. Some people call it a Harry Potter looking, but it was a big old gash.
Yeah, you can still see the scar.
And blood is pouring in my face, in my eye. I can't see at all out of my right eye. Nothing but red. And of course, you don't say I can't see, because what happens if you say you can't see?
Yeah,
the fight is stopped.
Yeah, right.
And I'm in a close fight. I feel like it's pretty even, but I'm fighting the world champion in his hometown. I'm not going to stop right now because I'm going to lose for sure. Guaranteed almost for me, right? And so it's the 6th round, and I'm fighting hard. And I go out there, and I land 2 big right hands. And it's funny because
you say you were in the 6th round?
We're in the 6th round. And so I get cut, and I can't see it all. They stop it. The doctor looks at my eye and stuff. I can't see nothing. Whatever. They put me back out there. Not a big deal. They don't even care. It's Texas. And so I'm out there fighting, and I'm just throwing big punches, and I'm going forward. I can't see it all. I can't see nothing coming from my right side. And so I got my right hand on my cheekbone, and I'm throwing that right hand hard as I can. And end up losing a fight, get knocked down, he waves it off, right, TKO. And I get up, and I still can't see out my right eye. And I was already dazed from the headbutt. It was a pretty hard headbutt. And as I'm leaving, the crowd is just cheering for me and yelling for me all up here over in the Alamo Dome or whatever it is over there in San Antonio. And they're all cheering. And it's like a huge crowd. And I've got my hands up. And everybody loves me. Why do they love me? Because I gave it all I had.
Yeah.
I did not quit. I had opportunities to quit.
Mm-hmm.
I got hit with hard punches. I got hit with the body shot earlier. Made me feel sick as a dog. I'm talking about a dog would have been better than me. You talking about paralyzing, and you work through it, you fight through it. You don't quit. You can't have a quit in you. And since I fought through that and I gave it all I had, when I did lose, even though I was stopped in the 6th round, people loved me and I had all my respect. Nobody could tell me anything. Because I gave it all I had. So I'll never have a regret about that fight. I could say, well, I wish I would have done this different, and strategy-wise, but I gave it all I had that night. Yeah. My last fight, I lost a split decision in a 10-round fight on Fox. And a lot of people thought I won. I thought I won. My timing was off. I missed weight. I wasn't in the best shape of my life. I wasn't, I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. Mm-hmm. I was in good shape, but I wasn't as slim as I should. I guess my diet wasn't as good as it could have been. And I had to re-weigh in the day of the fight about 5 hours before I fought. And so I'm super dry. I'm so dry come to fight night. I weighed in the first time on Friday. And the last time I had peed was on Thursday night. And so I fight on Friday. I weigh in on Friday. I weigh in again on Saturday. Still haven't peed. I fight Saturday. I don't have enough fluid to pee until Saturday afternoon on the flight home. So I'm extremely dry. And so I have no timing. I can't cut. But I've got all the work you can take. I get in this fight and I'm trash the first 3 rounds. I can't move. I can see things coming, but I can't do nothing about it. I'm slow. I feel like now I'm full of water now because I've made this weight and I've rehydrated. But I can't do nothing. I'm just slow and pitiful. And so what do I do? What I know how to do. I bite down on my mouthpiece and say, hey, you want to fight? Ryan, this is all you can do. You don't have any timing, but you can work. I'm not going to get tired. And so I went out there and I worked like a dog for the last 7 rounds, give it all I had, getting hit with big shots early, but I thought that I pulled it out. Most everybody did, and I lost the fight, which is fine. It doesn't bother me because I gave it all I had that night. Was I my best? No, I was probably my worst I've ever been in a fight in my life. But I made adjustments and I did what I could. Yeah. And so with learning how to lose, it's got to be like that. If you go out there and you don't try your best, you're always going to hate it when you lose. You're going to be sour every time. If you go unprepared and you lose, which doesn't make sense. You would think if you would go unprepared that you would be fine with losing because you're not ready.
Exactly.
But it's backwards.
But have you ever been going into a cast or a fight where you thought you were prepared and
lost?
You lost and then in retrospect you're like, I wasn't really prepared. I just thought I was prepared.
That fight I just told you about, the last fight, I thought that I was really prepared. My weight wasn't right because I wasn't sacrificing like I should have been. And I thought that I was prepared, and I lost the fight. And I go back and look at it, and I know that I wasn't as prepared as I could have been.
That seems to be the times when I see people the most bitter. You draw that guy in the cast. His dog's overweight. He doesn't know the rules, and then you minus him, and he doesn't understand why.
Now you're a cheater.
And, I'm just trying to cheat him. Yeah. And I can't.
Looking for an excuse.
Exactly. I can't stress it enough, and that's why it's, we've had other professional athletes on here, Cody Lostro and others. Josh has interviewed a few guys, and it's those messages that we bring have parallels to coon hunting and competition hunting, and it's all the same. The person that people say, and I used to look at this. People would come in. It's being overplayed now, but people would come in from a cast win. It started with PKC, and you're doing good, and automatically somebody said, "Yeah, I got lucky. I got lucky tonight." Well, no, you didn't. You didn't get lucky. You were prepared for this moment.
Hard work and opportunity.
Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you do get lucky.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's always going to be breaks. You're always going to get breaks and everything.
But it's always, I got lucky tonight. Well, luck is where preparation and opportunity intersect. You know, you've got the opportunity. You're prepared for it. You're going to take full advantage of it, and that's your luck right there. You make it. You make your luck.
Yeah. My wife, her grandpa, Corky Keene, one of the older horsemen in the state of Texas. He was the oldest horseshoer, and he was also the youngest jockey.
Oh,
you
no
know,
kidding.
And so he was shoeing horses still. He was 85 years old. So he was still shoeing horses, and I think he was 12 years old. He won his first horse race as a jockey. Yeah. And so he's a cowboy to the core. Everything about it. That's all he's done his whole life was cowboy. Train horses and shoe horses, and he always told me this: the harder I work, the luckier I get. He always told me that all the time. And he'd tell me that, and he'd say, "Keep smiling. People wonder what you're smiling about." Yeah. And the harder I work, the luckier I get. And he's right. It's all it is you're right. It's preparation, opportunity, come together in the right spot. And so whenever you're not prepared and you have an opportunity, talk about make you sour.
Yeah.
You know, you get this opportunity where you could have capitalized on something, and you realize that you cannot because of your own shortcomings. Once you start realizing your own failures, that's what makes people either sour or work harder or realize it and change their life.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so that's what happened to me plenty of times where I've realized, so like, for instance, I was a runner in school, distance runner, and I can run like the wind. It's always been easy to me. We would go run, and I would go run, and I would, if I had any competition, I would run hard. There would be nobody in practice that's going to beat me. I've always been like that. You know, I want to be the best. Might as well be a race for me. As long as I'm winning, I'm fine. And if I'm not, I'm going to be, you know. And or I'd be like, just stop, wouldn't run, wouldn't practice. I'd go run off, and I'd go hang out, and then I'd come running back or whatever. I would never put in all the effort because I had all the natural talent. And it was easy. I was winning first place, second place, all the time, and I didn't do hardly anything. Right. I remember having guys tell me, I'm running 10 miles a day. I said, I might run 10 miles in 2 weeks. We're running 3-mile races, and I'm beating them. It's just natural. Yeah. And I realized later how much I wasted. All that opportunity I could have had, all that potential I had, I wasted it, you know. And so it'll make you sour, realizing what you threw away. And I think that's what happens to people all the time is they realize the type of dog they had and all these opportunities they had, and it's what they really loved and really wanted to do, but they didn't do it. They say they wanted to do it, but they didn't. And you're going to do what you really want. What's in your heart is what you're going to do. That's what's going to come out. And if it's not really there, you can't put it there. You know, you can't put that toughness there. You can't put that grit. You can't put the hard work there if it's not there. If you don't really want it, you're not going to go do what you have to do to get it. You're not going to wake up at 4 a.m. to go run. Right. You're not going to not eat. You know, you're not going to cut your calories down to 700 calories a day while you're working out 3 times a day because you've got to make that weight and you're overweight and you got to fix what you did on the weekend. You know, you're going to pay for that. And that's the good thing about boxing is you pay for everything you do, and everybody's going to see it. And so it's so magnified that I think that it makes it extreme. It teaches you life lessons, but on an extreme level. Because I'm going to fight. I'm going to be on Fox. I'm going to be on Fox or Showtime pay-per-view. I'm going to be in front of the world. And if they don't see it right now, don't worry. It's recorded. You can find it for the rest of my life. You know, it'll be somewhere. You'll be able to see me either knock him out or get knocked out. Yeah. You're going to see something. You know, you're going to see Roberto Duran. Everybody hated him for quitting. Something people will never forget the No Mas fight. You know, him and Sugar Ray Leonard, No Mas. No matter how many times, no matter the way he beat him the first time, you know, won the first fight. And all the great fights he won after that. What do people remember? No Mas. That's it. Yep. And so you got to remember, people are going to remember the weakest thing about you. People are going to remember the weakest thing about you. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. All right. So to wrap this up, Ryan, you know, you're active here in your church. We're actually sitting in your church recording this, and your preacher was talking about trying to get you involved in youth ministry and stuff like that. There's a lot of kids, not just kids, but young guys that are coming into this thing and want to achieve great things and they've got these dreams, what message do you have for them?
Well, I've always said it, and but I didn't always do it. I always said,
That's me.
You got to keep God first. It's like talking about Paul in Romans. Why do I do the things that I hate? Or that I don't do what I want to do.
Right.
And the things I do I hate. Why do I do them? It's like I always told people, you got to keep God first. God's got to be number one in your life. You want to have you want to be ready. You want to do these things you want to do. Keep God first and have faith and always look to Him and pray about it. I said, well, pray about it. Then I realized I'll tell people to pray about it, but I'm not praying about it. I'm having these hard times. I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. And you could say I'm a hypocrite whenever I would do that, or you could say that I was a fool. And either one of them would be right, because I wasn't doing what I was saying you should do and what was right. And if I had to tell anybody what to do to make their life the life that they want to have, it's going to be, of course, pick your. Actually, it's not going to be just for me to say keep God first. I would say read your Bible. Mm-hmm. Because reading the living word will change your life. It has mine drastically changed my life, my outlook on everything. Not just my outlook, just my entire life all the way to the core. Reading the Bible for myself instead of listening to people all the time. Don't listen to people tell you what the rules are in a cast. Read your rule book. Mm-hmm. Why would you not do that? Of course you would. Everybody that really wants to be a winner is going to do what? Read their rule book over and over.
Read the rule book. Jerry Mull used to write Rules Corner.
Yeah.
Alan Gingrich and Trevor up there writing the Coonhound Advisor. You can't just read the rules. I mean, okay, so you brought up the Bible. You brought up the religious part. Anybody can sit down and read the Bible.
That's right.
There's non-believers that know the Bible forward and back.
The devil knows the Bible better than any preacher does.
There you go. And so it's not just enough to read that. You got to live it. You got to find ways to apply it. You got all those things.
Well, so the more you read the Bible, I'm a firm believer in this now, right? So I was always went to Sunday school and stuff as a kid and all these things.
Let me finish my thought because I kind of left it hanging out
go
there.
Ahead.
So we're talking about the Bible. The same thing goes for these coonhound rules. You can sit down and you can read the card, but you need to be reading the interpretation of the rules
and know how to use it.
And yes,
and know how this can happen. You can do scenarios.
That's when you become a hypocrite, whether it be in the Bible. He's always carrying that Bible. He's always reading his Bible. But then he treated this person like that, and then
right.
you're always. I'm a competition coon hunter, but you don't apply it. You don't apply the spirit of what we're trying to do, and that's where we all need to improve.
You know how many people I've seen pencil whipped, and downright, I'm talking about almost on that fine line of cheating. Just about just trying to win at all costs.
Right.
More of them are preachers than any of them. And that's just a fact. And it's not. And they were all hunting blue ticks too. So you can say it's that's a double negative right there. And so, but no, I think that reading the Bible is going to change your life. And the next thing is going to be, because like I said about listening to somebody teach you this stuff and tell you what the Bible says, it's not always going to be right. Maybe it's their interpretation. What I learned in Sunday school compared to what I'm reading in the Bible myself, it's not the same.
Right.
It's not theirs. Like, it don't matter what you want to say or what it was. I'm like, y'all didn't teach me correct on this issue. I remember what I was taught, and I'm reading it for myself. I don't know how you got that. Right. It doesn't make sense. And so read things for yourself. You're not going to take advice about something without knowing the rules, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to go fight without knowing the rules. I'm not going to go into a fight without knowing what I can and cannot do, what I have to do, how I can rehydrate, how I can lose this weight, mm-hmm. what I have to be exactly. I'm not going to let some guy just tell me what it is. Hey, Ryan, I remember one time I fought, and I show up to make this weight. Now, I've already lost the weight. I flew in the day before where am I fighting at? I think I'm fighting way down south in Hidalgo, down there by McAllen. And so I'm ready to make the weight. We're at this venue, right? We're actually making weight at some kind of sports bar. They had a lot of people there, and some guy comes up and says, "Hey, Cowboy." I said, "Hey, man, what's up?" And I'm not real talkative anyways before I make weight because I don't feel very good. Making weight, I'm kind of mean, my wife would say. And and so he says, hey, man, we're looking for a guy for you, man. We're looking for a guy for you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, what? They didn't tell you? I said, no, tell me what? He says, oh, I didn't tell you nothing, man. I didn't tell you nothing. I said, no, you're going to tell me. Like, what? He says, your opponent didn't show up. He didn't show up for the fight. I was supposed to fight an MMA fighter. He was like 2 or 3-0 or something like that, and I was about the same. I said, what are you talking about? He didn't show up. I don't have an opponent. I'm on weight. I haven't weighed in yet.
Right.
He said, oh, no, you're okay. We're going to find you somebody, Cowboy. You just go eat. It'll be okay. Go eat. It'll be okay. I said, I'm not going to go eat. Out of your mind. Think I'm going to go eat or drink. I done lost all this weight, suffered all this that I had to suffer to make this weight.
Yeah.
And he's telling me to go eat. And guess what? They found me an opponent. And if I would have gone and ate, and I didn't know the rules, and I would have just listened and obeyed or just did whatever this random guy tells me, I wouldn't have gotten the fight because I would have been too heavy. I wouldn't have made the weight. Since I made the weight, I had an opponent. But if I wouldn't have had an opponent.
Right.
And if I said, well, if I'm 0.2 over in this world title fight, but I had to be 140 pounds, I weighed in 140 pounds, 0.0. If I'd have been 140.2, we're talking about thousands of dollars. If I wouldn't have read the rules and known that. You're talking about life and death. In the Bible, life and death, heaven and hell. You're looking at cast wins, cast losses. There's no second place. You know, if you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby style.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Right.
You know, nobody remembers second. You can be the first loser. That's it. And not to diminish anybody that's gotten second place. You're still good. Your mama loves you. But but you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like that. You know, you're going to win or you're going to lose.
You're not going to win every day.
You're not going to win every day.
You can't take that second place and kick rocks down the road and stop playing the game. You got to learn from it.
You still beat 2 other people in the cast. If you're in second place, hoping you're not in a 2-dog cast, you know, so you're not.
Hopefully
last.
they're splitting.
Hopefully, yeah. And so hopefully it's a split anyways, right? And so you've got to push forward. Everything you do, you should learn from. And everything you do, learn about your dog, learn about yourself. You should learn new things about yourself all the time. You should learn what you can and can't do. And you should be realistic about it. You know, you've got guys out there that unrealistically think something of themselves. They think that they can go and...
Well, you talked about pencil whipping. Most of the time I've seen people get pencil whipped is because they let it happen.
That's exactly right.
They were not prepared. They didn't know the
right.
rules. If they would have stepped up and said, I remember one. I was hunting. What was it? What were we hunting? It was a big hunt. I got handed the card. It was an AKC hunt, and those rules were always screwed up anyway. I never liked them.
Yeah. They were fun, weren't they?
Oh, I hated them. I
never knew them. That was my problem. I never knew them.
I didn't either. And I'll tell you why, because we're standing out there in this cast, and I made a call. And this guy just looked at me, and he said, how'd you rule on that? And I told him. And he just looked at me and goes, I don't think that's right. He didn't get mad.
Yeah.
He didn't throw a fit. He's like, I don't think that's right. And I don't think you made the right call.
Yeah.
And so we stopped the cast. We looked at the rules. He was right.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Here I am carrying the card. I wasn't trying to.
That's right.
But another cast I was on, we were hunting the Winter Classic. And this guy, I mean, he showed up. He rode down with a buddy, brought his dog with him, and thought, well, we're going to the Winter Classic. I always wanted to hunt that hunt.
Yeah.
He wasn't prepared. And he had a dog that he wouldn't strike his dog. First time it was, hey, warning.
Yeah.
You got to strike your dog on the third bark.
Before, yeah.
Yep. And second time he did, I said, so-and-so's minus. He goes, what? And I said, your dog's minus. He started getting mad. And dog did it again, scratch.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Easy to scratch them then, isn't it?
Huh?
It's easy to scratch them then when they start getting mad.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
scratch.
Well, it's like what we talk about now. So it's not necessarily not knowing the rules or just being upset. So one time I was hunting in Queen City, and I was hunting a female. I had just come out of camp, and I literally drove over to Randy Arnold's in Louisiana or Arkansas, and I picked this female up. He was hunting her for me while I was in camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is my first hunt back with this female since my fight, and she's been hunted hard all the whole time I've been gone. I didn't tell Randy not to knock coon out to her, because what she did, if you're knocking a ton of coon out to her, you get about 30 yards from her, she's going to shut up. 30, 40 yards, and you're not gonna if you can't see her if it's real thick, you're not gonna find her.
Right.
She's not gonna move. She's gonna sit at the base of the tree like a freaking statue, and it never bothered me before, and I knew it, but I hadn't told them not to shoot coons out or nothing, so I wasn't thinking about it.
Right.
And I show up to this cast and I draw out with Josh Howard, and I can't remember the dog he had, and Mark Vest, and there was somebody else. We cut loose. I get in there, I'm second strike, and these dogs are just flying, man. They're flying through there. And I hear Roxy over here, about 250 yards, locate, and start treeing. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, you know. She's got a possum right here close. There's an RQE, too, so I'm like, I'm about ready to go home. I'm just walking out of here. So I strike and tree her. You know, I mean, I already struck her, but I treat her. We walk in there, and we get about 40 yards from her. She shuts up. Josh ain't moving. She says, no, we're waiting here. She starts barking. We start walking to her. She shuts up. We're like 25 yards from her. I'm like, Josh, she's right there. She's 20 yards from me. 25 yards. Dog ain't barking. We ain't walking to her. 2 got me. I said, scratch me.
Yeah.
I said, I'm out. And I was mad. I didn't throw a fit. I didn't try to fight. I was mad. But there's nothing I could do about it because my dog wasn't barking.
Right.
If she'd been barking, I would have felt different, you know. But she wasn't barking.
Yeah.
I couldn't do nothing about it. And I know.
And you're just sitting there in that 2 minutes.
I know she's going to.
Just a bark. Just give me.
Just a whine.
Give me 10
I mean, you're 20 minutes. You're 20 yards away from me. Ruffle, move some leaves around or something. Walk in there. It took me probably 5 minutes to find her. I'm looking at the Garmin. I know she's here. I cannot find this dog. So I'm like, maybe she's in a tree. She's not. She's at the base of this tree, sitting here, stone silent, not moving a muscle, looking right up the tree, just not moving. Dog was smart. She just knew what to expect. And sure enough, she had a coon.
And she's sitting over there going, why isn't the rifle cracking?
Why am I not getting petted?
Yeah.
Why is nobody shooting this coon out? You know. And I had every opportunity to get mad right there. And you could say I felt like I was cheated. That's what a lot of people have said. I was cheated. And I was only 20 yards away. But it's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't do nothing about it. Did it make me mad? Oh, I was mad.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at Josh. I was mad at the situation. I was mad at the dog most of all. But I was mad at myself for not telling Randy and realizing it in that moment. It's like it dawned on me. I'm like, you fool. You didn't, like, he'd been knocking his coons out and you knew he was and you didn't say nothing about it.
Right.
The bitch was perfect. She was great, looking great. And then you go do this. You know, ruin the whole dog. And I had every opportunity to be mad and throw a fit and go back to the clubhouse and tell everybody how I was cheated. Wouldn't have done me no good. What would I have looked like? I looked like a loser, you know. Because I didn't
look like a sore loser.
I look like a sore loser. That's right. That's what I mean. You wouldn't look like you did any good.
Right.
I mean, I'm not afraid to lose. You know, I read a book called Chasing Failure. And I don't really read very much. I do now, but I never did. And I read this book, Chasing Failure, is about chasing success and failing, and how you have to be able to accept failure. Mm-hmm. All the greats, anybody that is successful in anything, are going to fail. They have perfected failing. That's the whole reason they're successful. So they have perfected failing. They have done it so much. They're so good at it that they know how to win and know how to do these things. And so. It's you gotta be willing to do things. You gotta be willing to fail, willing to take the opportunities where you know there's a good chance you might fail, but still doing it anyways. It's like the old John Wayne quote, you know, having courage is being scared to death and selling up anyways.
Right.
You know, and you know, walk softly, carry a big stick. You know, whatever you want to say, right? You got all these different things, but you've got to be able to go forward with it, go through with it. If not, you're going to live your whole life in a fear moment.
Even your Bible, you know, even the Bible's full of stories of failure.
That's
you know,
right.
It's all about that. It's not a perfectly written book where we only talk about success.
I mean, you look at all the shortcomings in the Bible.
All of them.
It's everybody. Every Bible story of every guy you want to tell in the Bible. Except for Jesus.
Starting with Adam.
Except for Jesus.
Yeah.
Everybody besides him, you see nothing but shortcomings. You see all their failures, where they failed, where they did not do right by God, and how they came back from it.
Absolutely.
Every one of them. Now, do I believe that there's people that God tried to reach out to and try to touch and try to do these things with? Of course I do. Mm-hmm. But they weren't as gracious, and they didn't fail the way they failed. And when they did fail, they were ridden with condemnation, and they hated themselves for it, and they thought that they were ruined. You know, I can never come back from this. You know, that's what they think. I can never come back from this.
Yeah.
And the thing about life is, you can always come back from it. There's nothing you cannot come back from.
That's an important message right there, man.
Yeah, but especially
there's going to be a cast next week. There's going to be, you get back out there. I don't care whether you're bear hunting or you're hog hunting or whatever. I mean, if you're failing, you're going to have other opportunities. You can go back and you can blame other things, but this is exactly what I want to talk to you, Ryan.
Well, there's only one guarantee. If you quit, you got one guarantee: you'll never win.
Yeah.
You'll never do anything you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
All these things you ever had in your head that you want to do, if you quit now, the one guarantee you have is that you will never do it. It will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. No matter what, no matter how you try to spin it, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
And the guarantee that,
and if it's something that you really do want,
you're going to hate yourself for it.
Yeah, you can try to justify it in your own mind, but you will always look back on that and think, man, I had an opportunity and I blew it.
Well, think about those bitter people in your life, especially the older people that that have been really bitter about something.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be you. You quit, you're going to hate yourself for quitting. Muhammad Ali, suffer now, live the rest of your life as a champion. But during that hard work, suffer now, live the rest of your life as a champion. Suffer now and do these things that you don't want to do. Have discipline. Discipline is key. Discipline will change your life. Doing things you don't want to do because it's what you're supposed to do, no matter what. All
Jocko Willink stuff, man.
Like you're talking
discipline
about,
equals freedom.
Like you're talking about all these SEALs and all these Rangers, all these top military guys.
You got to throw Marines in there for me, right?
The Marines.
Thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. The Marines. And, you got all these guys, one thing in common. All these top guys, these grade A personalities, they're grade A because why? They're type A because they don't quit.
Right.
They're going to keep going. Look at the guys that make it that far. That's the only ones they want. They don't want the ones that will quit. That's why their training is going to be so hard for them special forces guys, because they want to weed those guys out. Those guys that act it and say they got the talk and they do all these things and they never really had to face a lot of adversity and they think they can do it. They really believe they can.
They don't have
come down to it. When it comes down to it,
they
don't got it. They can't do it. They can't get to that extra point that they have to get to. That's the same thing with guys, like even fighters. So something that I've always loved to do is to fight in a dog fight. Like I'm in a rough, tough type of fight. I've always seen myself, before I go into a fight, I used to vision myself knocking people out as a young kid. And whenever it wouldn't happen, I would be discouraged in a fight in the first or second round. It's not going like I wanted to. It's much harder than I thought it was going to be. I envisioned this. It's much harder than I thought it was going to be.
So you're already telling yourself you're failing because you haven't knocked this guy out?
Yeah. And so it's now I'm not as good as I thought I was going to do. Now I'm like, crap. What am I going to do? This guy's better than I thought he was. And I literally went through that phase for a while. And I started doing it where I would vision. It's funny because I caught on to this as a kid. I would vision myself in a fight, being bloody, getting knocked down, being cut, being knocked down, and getting up and winning a hard fight where you got to dig down deep. And so whenever I get in those fights, if it's easy, it's easy. And if it's not, I'm ready for it. This is just what I wanted. This is just what I thought it would be.
Oh, man, that is so cool.
And so I never hit that point anymore. Like I used to, in the amateurs, I would hit that point where like, man, this guy's way better than I thought he was going to be. This is way harder than I expected. What am I going to do, right? I'm not prepared for this guy. All these doubts start just flowing in, right? Doubts will just straight flood you and kill you. And now instead of that, I'm like, all right, let's go. I get hit hard. All right, let's go. This is what I expected. I get cut. Everybody bleeds. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to bleed too much, And if they do, I'm sure hopefully somebody will donate some blood for me. But, it's like that. I've got that idea that and it kind of goes back to everybody saying, don't pray for an easy life, pray for strength to endure a hard life. And that's what I do now. I say, God, strengthened me up. I prayed to.
And if you pray for
God,
strength, God's
name.
going to give you adversity to make
That's
you
exactly
strong.
right. So that's the thing. So that's another thing I didn't realize, right? So I used to pray for strength, or I'd pray for patience, which don't ever do that, guys.
Exactly.
If anybody's listening, do not pray for patience.
He's going to put trials in your way to make you more patient.
When you pray for strength, God's going to give you trials to make you strong. You pray for patience, He's going to give you trials to realize you need to be patient. So I remember I prayed for patience and I prayed for strength at the same time, because I was like, I like to hate my life, so I'm going to do that. And so I did, and I didn't realize it at the time, and I did, and I'm so angry. All of a sudden, I'm having all these issues. Like, I'm having all these problems, and I'm getting so angry at all of them, and I'm not patient, and I'm getting angry.
And God
and
says,
I remember it was about the third or fourth day of this. I mean, it's like every day. And it's like the man that looks in a mirror and forgets what he looks like, talks about in James. And so now I've done this, and I'm like, you fool. You've just prayed for this, and God is doing it for you. Yeah. And now it was like all of a sudden, I kept having trials, and it's like they're all so easy. They're all so easy. I'm not mad. And that was the key to all of it, being patient. It's going to be all right. I tell my wife that all the time. She hates it. She hates it. It's going to be all right. We'll be broke or struggling or something, right, in our life. And I was, oh, baby, it'll be fine. We'll be all right.
That's right.
We'll be fine.
And it's the same way.
She's like, shut up, Ryan.
Stop praying for this stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, and that's why everything here is a microcosm. Of course, this is a hound podcast, but I think it's so important to discuss the real issues in life. What's holding us back? What's keeping us back? Why aren't we enjoying this as much as we should? Have we put too much emphasis on it? Where can we find other ways and other life lessons? We can't live in this little silo and always get our advice from just within our own little circles. We have to look at big picture stuff. We got to. I think that's the key to understanding the Bible, is being able to see the world around you and apply real world things to what we read in the Bible. That's what it's like to be a successful houndsman. I've written articles about this. If you want to be a successful houndsman, you want to enjoy your hunt, make sure things are taken care of at home. Yeah. That one part. But we do need to get this wrapped up. Man, I could sit here and talk to you for 3 days, Ryan.
Yeah.
I want to come back next year.
Too. Come on back. We'll go hunting this time. I had a little.
If we can.
Everything's been a little short for me this time. God willing. That's right. You can't plan ahead.
Yeah.
And so, God willing, to come back, we'll go for a hunt. We'll do this again anytime you want to. No problem. I enjoy it. I love it. And I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking time, especially with everything you've had going on and training and family stuff. And what a great stop this was, to make time to sit down and talk to you while I was down here in Texas.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and inviting me to do this, and I always enjoy talking. I love to talk. It's much easier than fighting and training. And so it's always, top of my list over those,
I got something I'll talk to you about after we get off the air. I got an idea.
All right. I'm game.
All right, buddy. Hey, until next time, you follow your hounds.
Oh, yeah.
I'll follow mine.
I will. I'll run them down.
All right.